Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to be here. And to be perfectly honest, I think Angus and Robin have got it all covered, and you really don't need to hear very much from me at all. Thank you both for speaking so powerfully. Thank you to Crossley Heath, which I visited not long ago, for being so supportive and for leading the way. And Angus, I suspect there are people in this room who very much identify both with the positive and negative personal experiences that you talked about from their own adolescence. And I think that's a very powerful reminder of exactly why this week is so very necessary. So I wish you all the very best with all of the arrangements. And thank you very much to Paul for the introduction, and to Tim for bringing all of this together, because I don't think we would be here if it wasn't for Tim's original idea. And thank you to all of you for being here, and to Just Like Us for hosting the first ever Schools Diversity Week. When I was invited, I really couldn't say no. It's very important that I am here to lend my support and to wish everyone well. Just Like Us is doing amazing work supporting LGBT role models going into school. So I'd like to say thank you to everybody who is involved. You really are at the forefront of something amazing and inspirational. Your young people are bravely opening up about their own experiences, defying discrimination, and championing equality for the next generation. Now, the UK has made huge strides towards equality, and I, and perhaps some of the rest of you in the room, were delighted to be part of the Prime Minister's celebrations at number 10 for the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia and Biphobia last month, and to meet other incredible role models like Leanne Sanderson of the England football team and actress Rebecca Roots. I'm particularly encouraged to see the movement that's now happening across society on trans-related issues, with more and more people feeling confident that they can be open about who they really are. Now, I was going to say that we had obviously made and seen other strides as well, but Angus, you were absolutely right to talk about the absolutely tragic events of last weekend, because I don't think that we can point to progress, but I think the tragic terrorist attack in Orlando showed what can happen when radicalism replaces humanity and compassion with hate and prejudice. And let's be clear that Orlando was not an isolated incident. Because as my colleague Ian Stewart, Member of Parliament for one of the Milton Keynes seats, said in Parliament yesterday, yes, this might be the first perhaps terrorist-related LGBT attack, but as we've already heard, attacks on LGBT people happen, unfortunately, far too regularly. So we have a duty, we in government are very conscious of our duty, to ensure that detestable views like those held by Omar Mateen are never given the chance to take root in young minds. Stonewall research shows that more than 50% of LGBT secondary pupils experience homophobic bullying, and almost 100% say that they hear homophobic language in schools. Bullying has devastating effects on LGBT young people's well-being and education. 1 in 3 LGBT pupils change education plans as a result of homophobic bullying at school. 44% of LGBT pupils skip school because of bullying. And bullied LGBT pupils are at higher risk of suicide, self-harm and depression. I want them to know that government is on their side, and that we will do everything to make sure that their time in school is happy and allows them to be themselves. I thought, Angus, you had it right when you said actually perhaps indifference. The attitude of the rugby captain is what we want to see much more of. We are committed as a government to social justice and improving the life chance of every child by ensuring they receive an excellent education that allows them to reach their full potential. And one day lost from the classroom is one day too many, and it has a huge impact. If LGBT young people are scared to go to school, then how can we help them to fulfil their true potential? That's why what organisations like Just Like Us and the School Diversity Week are doing is so important. Now, schools are required by law to have measures in place to prevent bullying, with performance held to account by Ofsted, but we know that teachers lack confidence sometimes in addressing this type of bullying. And that's why in March I announced a further £1 million this year to support schools to address homophobic, biphobic and transphobic bullying, to build on the success of last year's £2 million programme to strengthen further schools' confidence and capacity to tackle these problems. Now, we know there's fantastic work done by charities across the country, supported by the government, and it's shown that tackling homophobia and transphobia in the classroom is possible. Funding enables schools to create strategies to address and tackle bullying, leading to ambitious changes in their policies and curriculum, and I'm looking forward to saying more this summer on the conclusions of the first schemes. Anecdotal evidence has suggested that as a result, staff feel more confident in dealing with this type of bullying, and pupils are more aware of the harm that it can cause. Direct support for LGBT pupils, both in one-to-one and group situations, has led to improvements to self-esteem and left pupils feeling happier and less alienated. So I'm delighted to have seen some of these projects in action and met with teachers from Eastbourne Academy, at Callendon School in Coventry, and many others at Downing Street last month. If we're going to build tolerance and foster understanding and create a truly inclusive society, then we need visible role models so we can have a proper conversation about the way that we should treat each other. That's exactly what Schools Diversity Week is about. I'd like to congratulate all of you again for supporting Just Like Us, to Tim for doing this, and to the schools for leading the way. Thank you so much for everything you've done.